Hey guys, Chairman here. So recently I had a box opening stream for Hololive where I opened 14 TDs and 4 booster boxes, and it was really fun, really exciting. If you want to catch the VODs for that live stream, it's on the channel. But now I'm just sitting here with some TDs and just some random singles. I don't have my playset yet, so there's not really that much I can build. Because of that, I decided let's just do a series on the Hololive trial decks and how we can upgrade them with only rare and below cards. Obviously I don't have a lot of the double rares, and I actually don't even have all the rares, but I thought it would just be a really good look at the Hololive TDs and see what good stuff we can pull out of them. Yeah, let's just get started. So we're gonna start with the first Hololive TD, which is the 0 generation. This is the contents of the TD. We'll just kind of lay it out and kind of look at it. So here's the deck laid out with all the copies. This is just from one trial deck. First things first, we can notice that the minimum, we have at least 2 ofs every single card, which is really good. They're not printing any more 1-ofs and TDs anymore. That's always great to see. Although the ratios are kind of strange. So we have 4 ofs of the Brainstorm and this other back row, but all our other beaters at level 0 are 2 ofs, which is kind of weird. We still have the vanilla, which is kind of unfortunate. That's still there. And also we have 4 of this back row level assist, which is definitely really strange. Generally speaking, you don't need that many level assists in a deck. But we do come with full copies of the plus and climaxes, or the climax with, like, you know, good triggers, and 2 copies each of the level 3s. So standout cards in this deck, I think the biggest card is definitely this 0-0 Miko. This Miko is super powerful. You know, it's like double rare worthy card in other sets. So definitely if you're buying this trial deck, you're getting it for this Miko. The second best card I actually would say is this Sora. This Sora is a really solid healer with a great continuous effect that gives it power and also hand encore. So it's just really strong at just staying on the board. So definitely these 2 cards are what you're really looking for. The Suisei combo is not bad, but it is on reverse, and that's not really ideal, I would say. Compared to the Okayu combo, which is not on reverse and also on a gold bar, I believe the Suisei combo is a little bit lacking. And that being said, we have a strong level 1 combo, a strong level 2 play with the merge or trance into the 3-2 Roboco, who serves as a decent finisher. We also have some kind of counterplay with counters at level 1 and level 2. So not really a bad place to start, honestly. And we can definitely improve this with another TD and a few cards from the regular set. So let's see what we can make. So let's start with the level 0 line. Now the first change I'm going to make is I'm actually going to remove the TD Brainstorm in this case for the uncommon Sora Brainstorm from the booster set. Now the TD Brainstorm is pretty good. Brainstorm 5 is definitely pretty strong. It's one of the best TD Brainstorms they've printed. It also gives power to the Roboco and also the Suisei level 1 combo. So you think it might actually be really strong. However, the problem is our Suisei combo is really small on defensive. It gets power on play, but even with the Brainstorm, it's only 5k on defense, not very big. And the Roboco, sure, it would appreciate some extra power, but do you know what it would appreciate more than power? Just the ability to free encore, or not free encore, but the ability to use the Sora to encore the Roboco and give it additional power. So that's why we want to play the Sora at max copies. It's a salvage Brainstorm that grabs anything we want in the deck, which is really good, and it also can save anything in the deck because we're all playing 0 generation. Second thing we want to do is kind of replace some of the weaker beaters at level 0 with some better beaters. So we want to max copies of this Miko because this Miko is utility and beater all in one card. Very, very strong. The second thing we want to do is we want to add more plussing options at level 0. And by doing that, we're going to take out a number of these cards for the plussing option of my choice, which is the 0-0 Sora. So this common Sora, it also gets power when you play it. You can, if you have another character, it gets 2k, so it's a 3-5 beater on its own right offensively, so it helps you push. And more importantly, when it dies, you can clock the top card of your stock to summon a cost 0 or lower Hololive from your deck. Now unfortunately, our summon options aren't that great because Suisei, we want to play her from hand, so it is a little bit weaker in this deck than in other decks, but it is still a plus, and honestly pluses are just good. We can use it to get some other 1-0 beaters that we will be playing in this deck that don't have a come and play effect, or we could use it to grab our back rows, which is always really nice. We can grab the Sora, we can even grab the Roboco. The Roboco is the target for the trance, so we definitely do need 1 copy of her in the deck. In addition to the Miko, I do like the Miko utility, but we're also going to add the Suisei. So So Suisei's utility is pretty good. It gives you a little bit of top check for your triggers, and it also gives you the ability to grab cards from your clock, which is a zone that we don't have access to right now, but definitely having the Suisei will help us get access to that zone. The last thing we're going to do is we're actually going to take out 2 copies of this Roboco, because we're going to be running more copies of the 1-0 Roboco that counts for the same name as this Roboco for the purposes of the 2-1 trans package. So definitely don't need as many copies of the 0-0 Roboco anymore. So let's just shift all these cards down, put the Roboco at the end. Alright, so this is our updated level 0 lineup. At level 1, we're still going to be running 4 copies of the Suisei, because that's our main combo and plussing engine, but we're going to supplement that with 3 copies of the 1-0 Roboco. So we're going to take out some of these cards, play the 1-0 Roboco. So this Roboco has the effect when it's on the board, it has the same name as the 0-0 Roboco, so it can be used for trance. It also gets 2k if you have 2 or more other Hololive characters, which means it's a 106k pretty much all the time, which is really good. And this is probably our best summon target off of the 0-0 Sora. And finally, if at the start of your encore step, or start of the encore step, if you have no characters rested, which means your opponent wiped out your entire board, which is pretty common since Suisei is very tiny, you can actually pay 1 to rest her. So she can save herself as long as your opponent is winning board, which your opponent generally should be trying to do. So she actually is very sticky, helps us get advantage at level 1, especially after our Suisei combos. We're going to take out 2 more cards at level 1 to fit in the 2 copies of the 1-0 Roboco. This Roboco is really good because it gives us that extra utility. We can discard a Hololive character to do a Rico check, which is you check the top card of your deck, and then you can salvage equal to that level or lower. And it also pumps one of our other characters, which is really great. Unfortunately, since you can't discard anything, it does make it a little weaker compared to actual Rico, but it's still a pretty good card to have. We can run it at 2. And that's going to be it for level 1, so we're actually going to not be running any counters because our board is relatively weak on defense, so there's really no reason to protect it. Now at level 2, we are going to be running 2 copies of the 2-1 Miko from the booster set, the uncommon. This card basically replaces the Suisei in functionality. This card is 13-5 on offense, just period. Like there's no questions asked. It's huge. Like I don't know what else to say. It is insanely big. It will destroy your opponent, any of the characters that they play. The best part is with the Sora Brainstorm, if it dies and you still need it to kill something on your opponent's on the next turn, you just use the Sora Brainstorm to revive the 2-1 Miko, and it's just 16-5 and absolutely gigantic. So definitely a really solid card to play in this deck. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to take out all this back row, because we don't need the back row. Our back row is mostly going to be Sora Brainstorms. Even if we have 2 Sora Brainstorms, it's pretty good. And we're going to move the Roboco. We're going to max copies of this Roboco. Basically, our level 2 game plan is going to revolve around just getting this trance off. The trance is really good because we get to top check 3 for a card, which helps us build hand advantage. Definitely something we want to be doing at level 2. And having more copies of the Roboco is just going to make it easier for us to get that trance off. And of course the Roboco shuffles the copies of the 3-2 Roboco back into the deck, so it's definitely not a problem for us. Now for our level 3 game, we are definitely going to up the copies of our Roboco. So we're going to up Roboco count to 3, or to 4. Definitely going to up the Roboco count to 4. And we're also going to up the Sora count to 4. Yes. So just to have extra copies of cards at level 3 and to be able to do cool stuff with our end game, right? Otherwise, we don't have anything going on at level 3 or even at level 2, because our level 2 primarily involves getting this Roboco out. And the final card that we're going to be playing is we are going to still be playing 1 copy of the 2-1 event. We're bumping it down to 1 because it's not really that impactful of an event, but it is still good enough so that we want to see it. And that's it for my idea of how you can upgrade your 0 generation Hololive TD with using only rare and below cards. Honestly, I feel like this is a pretty strong deck, mostly because your level 0 quality is so high. You have really strong beaters, you have a really good brainstorm, you have great plussing engines, you have great utility. Your level 1 game manages to get by very strong, and then at level 2 you can kind of blow people out of the water with 2-1 Miko, and also the trans package to get a big Roboco. Your Roboco is very sticky because you can use the event to protect it, or you can protect it with the Sora Brainstorm. And at level 3 you have really solid healers, and your climax lineup, the triggers are really good. Salvage and Gold Bar is very, very strong. So this is honestly a really solid trial deck to pick up. I wouldn't say it's the best trial deck, but definitely it has one of the best, if not the best card from the trial decks, which is 0-0 Miko. So definitely worth it to pick up. Hopefully you enjoyed this content. I'm going to be making one of these for every single trial deck. Hopefully this also gives you a kind of a springboard or a starting point to get into the set, especially if you're new and you don't really know. There's so many cards in Hololive, you don't know where to start. Just buy a trial deck, slowly upgrade it with singles cheaper on the cheaper end that you can get. Once you feel comfortable and you really want to get into the set, then you can buy the double rares, buy the expensive cards, make the best decks. Yeah, so that's it for this video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.